Michelle, and then you're ready to go.
Okie dokie. Good evening and welcome to everyone, councillors, the press and the public to this meeting of the Town Council. This is a virtual meeting of the full Council Advisory Group. The meeting will be conducted under the Council's previously approved protocol for remote meetings, which can be found on our website. The meeting is therefore being streamed live and is available to view on our website. I will now ask the Town Clerk to carry out a roll call of all councillors and ask you to confirm that you are present. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Baker. Councillor Blanchard Cooper.
I've just sent a message to say Billy says he can't join.
Thank you. The team are on to that.
Come back to Billy then. Councillor Buckland.
Present.
Councillor Butcher.
Present.
Councillor Chase has sent his apologies. Councillor Long.
Yes, present.
The Mayor, obviously. Councillor Northeast.
Oh yes, yeah.
Councillor Price.
Present.
Councillor Rhodes. Councillor Tandy.
Present.
Councillor Tilbrook.
Present.
Councillor Turner.
Present.
Councillor Walsh.
Present.
And Councillor Woodman.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Blanchard Cooper, are you with us yet? No. I'll pick that up as and when he appears, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Mobile phones. Members are reminded to switch their mobile phone devices to silent for the duration of the meeting and are asked to note the previously approved protocol for remote meetings, which is in place for the duration of this meeting. Apologies. I will ask the Town Clerk to read the names of those who have sent their apologies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As previously stated, Councillor Chase.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, declarations of interest. The standing declarations are noted. Members and officers are reminded to make any other declarations if they become apparent at the appropriate time during the meeting. Are there any further declarations? None? Okay. Minutes. The minutes of the annual meeting held on the 14th of October 2021 have been circulated and can be found on pages 7 to 10 in accordance with the Town Council Standing Orders Section 9A. Members are reminded that no discussion of the draft minutes of a preceding meeting shall take place except in relation to their accuracy. Can I therefore ask if everyone is happy that they be approved?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Yes, agreed.
Arrangements will be made for these to be formally signed when circumstances allow, and this will be recorded in the minutes. My activities. So I guess I haven't seen many of you since before Christmas. I've had a really lovely Christmas actually, and of course we got to kick it all off with switching on the lights, which has absolutely been one of the highlights of my year because I love Christmas so much. I had a really lovely trip to the Windmill Theatre and watched the Addams Family there. Then I spent a nice Christmas with my family. And recently, this last week, I think it was, I went and visited the Girl Guides, which was really nice. They just wanted to know what the mayor does really. And their most important question was the mayor a normal person? So hopefully I've put their minds at rest that I'm not a very different person to what they are. That's what I've been up to. And the weeks are about to start getting busier again. So I'm excited to see what I've got ahead of me. I'll ask the Town Clerk to advise if there are any urgent items.
There are none, Madam Mayor.
That's nice. On to the next item, we've got the public forum. In accordance with the remote meetings protocol, which has been introduced by the Town Council, any members of the public wishing to address the Council or any of its advisory groups during remote meetings should have emailed their submissions to us one clear day before the meeting. I don't believe there is anyone.
There are none, Madam Mayor.
Any correspondence or issues in respect to the district or county council? I'd ask the Town Clerk to confirm if there are any items.
There are none, Madam Mayor.
No. Moving on.
Interrupt, Madam Mayor. Councillor Blanchard Cooper has joined the meeting and is online.
Oh, lovely. Billy. Moving on to the next item, and I'll hand over to the Town Clerk to take us through the recommendations in this report.
I believe that all sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, I believe that the recommendations are, you caught me on the hop there,
Sorry.
are picked up elsewhere on the agenda.
Okay. So shall we go to committee minutes non-exempt? So we've got agenda item 8.2.1 to 8.2.4 from the Planning and Transportation Committee. If I could hand over to Councillor Long as chair of the advisory group to present these minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me. I'm pleased to present the minutes of the meetings of the Planning and Transportation Committee. There seems to be a raft of them, held on the 8th of October, 11th of October, 8th of November, 6th of December 21 and the 4th of January 22, as set out on pages 11 to 38 in the papers, and I'd be happy to answer any questions relating to them.
See, Councillor North East has a question. Have you got a question, Councillor? Oh, there he is. No, that's Councillor Blanchard Cooper.
Councillor North East?
Hang on. What's all this technology? Yes, there's a point I would just want to raise. It's on page 20 and it's 79.1.2. I'll let you sort of drag that up, but it's with regard to the last paragraph, and I really want to welcome a statement there, and it says members therefore look forward to having a meaningful conversation with the District Council to develop a strategic plan for this area, and it's about the amount of infill now we're seeing in Littlehampton with regard to houses. Now, I'm not one to say that we should always meet with the District Council and put forward a strategy, because that always sort of ends up costing us loads of money. But what we're seeing at the moment, certainly in the north of Littlehampton, is all the odd fields or bits of land here and there are getting snapped up by developers or builders, and we're seeing a dozen houses here, 20 houses there being built, and this is something that really has got to stop, because all these houses are adding up to quite a substantial amount if you keep adding them on and on and on and on and on. And the trouble with these small sites, we get nothing out of them infrastructure wise, and we get nothing out of them 106 wise. And that is just putting more of a burden on everything that we got here, like our health services, our roads, everything like that. So all I'm saying is I look forward to this meeting. I hope something positive comes out of it, and we can start stopping, I suppose, these bits of infill that are causing us more and more problems with regard to the infrastructure of our town. That's basically all I wanted to say, Jill, on that. But well done for picking that up, and look forward to that happening. Yeah, I'm okay.
Thank you for that, Councillor North East. We really did feel very strongly as a committee that exactly as you've described, you get all these little infill developments going on, and it isn't helpful. To have a clearer idea and a better understanding from our point of view and ADC's as well as the planning authority would be really helpful for us. Going back several years, our neighbourhood plan had identified sites that we thought could be used, but they are just appearing all over the place now. So quite how we're going to take that forward isn't certain yet, but we'll certainly pursue it. And thank you for your comments and your support for that.
Thank you. We have a question from Councillor Walsh as well.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just to follow up what Councillor North East has said, and Councillor Long, I entirely agree, but the problem is the government have actually considerably loaded the dice in favour of developers bringing forward these small proposals, because we're not meeting the
the building targets within Arran. And that's not Arran's fault, it's the developer's fault. So this whole thing is loaded in favour of the developers, who, if they don't bring forward enough houses to satisfy the housing target, Arran then gets penalised by being under pressure and virtually told to give planning permission on sites like this outside the designated areas. So it's a vicious circle with the dice loaded in favour of developers, and the public don't get a look in or a say on this, nor town and parish councils, and in fact increasingly less so for our district council. But we should continue to make efforts to change it.
I quite agree, and thank you for those comments. I just felt, or the committee felt, unless we actually say something, we will never be heard. As a town council, we feel very strongly about what's going on in terms of developments and the pressures that are being created, with no solutions being offered at the moment. And it really is frustrating. But as I say, unless we say it at our level, nothing. I can't see anything actually happening to help control it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions on that item? No. Thank you, Councillor Long.
Thank you.
So the next agenda item is 8.2.5 to 8.5.6, community resources. Can I hand over to Councillor Blanchard Cooper as chair of the advisory group to present these minutes?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and apologies for my slight delay in attending, slight technical issues. Anyway, that is all sorted now, and I'm pleased to present the minutes of the meetings of the community resources held on the 21st of October and the 9th of December 2021, as set out on pages 39 to 54 in the papers, and we'll be happy to answer, or at least try to answer, any questions relating to them.
I think we have Councillor Turner.
For the red light, there we are. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Blanchard Cooper. I've just got one question about the Rosemead Park trees, and I just wondered if they'd started to replace those yet.
I don't myself know. Perhaps the town clerk might know. Peter?
I think Juliet could probably give you a fuller answer than me through you, Madam Mayor.
We're getting lots on screen there.
Good evening. Through you, Madam Mayor. At the moment, the contractors have obviously taken down the trees. They've got to grind out the existing stumps. So that's the next phase, and then they will start planting. I can't give you an exact timeline, but we are very close to the stage where you will see those going in.
Thank you very much. No other questions.
Thank you, Jules, for answering that.
Thank you. We have Councillor Northeast who has a question.
I'm coming. Yeah, here we go.
The voice is there, but no one's at home.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, Billy, it's just on page 46, I think it is. These numbers
Page
get
46, I'm just getting there. Okay.
It's the 38.6, it's the Visit Littlehampton website. I don't think we should be sort of looking at, we've got three things here. We've got Visit Littlehampton, we've got LTC, we've got the museum. I don't think we should be doing one at a time. What we should be looking at is an identifiable image of the three, so that then they slot into that image. What we're doing at the moment is we're going to redo Visit Littlehampton, and then it looks as though the others have got to fit in with Visit Littlehampton. Well, I think we're doing it.
If my understanding is, I might interact there, Mike.
Yeah,
I believe the others have already been done, because we already had the museum done previously and the town council's website as well. the Visit Littlehampton website is now going to be redone. It was deferred for more information. That was then brought back to the following committee, which has then agreed that the work will be completed. I'm looking at Jules on screen, hoping she's nodding. That has all then been done so that all 3 systems will be the same system, which means effectively everyone will know how to run them much easier. They will talk to each other better, and will have exactly what you're saying, Mike, a standardized look about them, so when people go there they know that's us, that's what we're looking for. So hopefully what you've actually just asked for, we're delivering, if I'm right on that, which it means I would like a nice big smile on the screen.
Super efficient, Billy. Thank you very much.
We tried, Mike. We have a great team in this town council, and I know we're always trying, and we aim to please you particularly, Mike. Was there anything else for yourself, Madam?
When are you doing the WIC website?
The what?
The WIC website.
That's hard to say very quickly.
It is.
So the WIC website. So I would suggest that WIC is part of Littlehampton. It is a separate. It's not a separate identity. It's not a separate thing at all. WIC, in my opinion, is a very important part of this town. The same as it could be said that we have lots of other little areas. We have Norfolk Road, for example, which has a cluster of shops there. Should we be classing that as a separate area? We have the Beaumont. Should we have the Beaumont website? No, because we have the Beaumont, which is part of Littlehampton, and WIC, which is as much a part of Littlehampton as everywhere else, and I want to see it included much more within Littlehampton. Hope that helps.
Well, I just have to say that WIC is designated as a place in its own right because it's signposted as such. All the other ones you mentioned are not.
No, but WIC is part of Littlehampton, and as such, all of their events can be listed on the Littlehampton website. All of what we try to do does include them. We have finances put aside to assist them individually as well. So hopefully I'd expect to see all those types of events on the Visit Littlehampton website.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Councillor North East. And I'd just like to say, Councillor Blanchard Cooper, I think you're right, and it was really nice to see a bigger offering, like a smaller events programme for WIC over the Christmas period this year. We attended a couple of them, they were really good.
If I may, Madam Mayor, I couldn't agree more. WIC has got its own identity, but it is part of the town.
Yeah.
It's historically, during my own years as mayor, and I'm sure Mike would say this as well, Jen, there have been so many different things offered by that particular area, and it's always great to see what's going on there.
Thank you.
And long may it continue.
Thank you very much. Anything else, anyone? No? Okie dokie. Thank you, Councillor Blanchard Cooper. Agenda item 8.2.7, the Property and Personnel Committee. Can I hand over to Councillor Price as Vice Chair of the Advisory Group to present these minutes? I'd just like to say as well, I keep saying Property and Personnel Committee. It's not, it's an advisory group, and that's my mistake. Sorry.
Thank you. I'm pleased to present the minutes of the meeting of the Property and Personnel Committee held on the 7th of December 2021, as set out on page 55, to 60 in the papers. The Town Clerk or I will be happy to answer any questions relating to them.
Thank you, Councillor Price. We have Councillor Blanchard Cooper first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This time I'm on the asking side, which is lovely. So just in relation to item 19 on page 58, I couldn't see if that was a 6 or an 8 then, I must get my eyes tested. Fully support this. Just wondered if I could have information ascertaining to if we had any financial implication reports set before the committee, or was this just a ad hoc, very last minute item, as I wasn't able to see anything on the agenda for that committee that said anything about this. Thank you.
Can I hand over to you, Town Clerk, for that answer?
You can indeed, through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I mean, obviously this didn't come as a report from officers because it wasn't an officer proposal. It was a suggestion from the chair. There were no financial implications. And it was exceptionally well received by staff. And thanks were sent to the members of the committee.
Okay,
I'm not sure if
thank
that
you.
answers your question. So does that answer the question?
It does. It breaks out more questions, but I'll email you separately, Peter, because
Okay.
I don't want to disparage something that's actually quite a nice, good thing that's been done. But there's just there's more I'd like to know about how it went about happening, because I look at it, I'm not convinced it's followed the correct procedure. I'd always assume an item should be on the agenda to be discussed at a meeting, even if it's an item that the chair has put forward. The chair, I would have assumed, should ask for it to be included in that agenda. But that's a conversation just for another time, and I don't want to knock it into the ground, because it was done in a very good way, and it was a good decision. Thank you.
Happy to speak to you afterwards, Billy.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Councillor Northeast.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just on 17.4 82 Wick Street, can I just ask, because it says in there that the sale for the property has now been completed, does that mean that the money is in our account? And also, who did we sell it to?
Answer the first one, I can answer. The answer is yes. And the second one, for the life of me, I can't remember. Unless Juliet can know off the top of her head.
It was a private purchase, Chair.
It was a private purchase?
Yeah, private individual, yes.
Because I noticed it's back on the market already, that's all. I just wanted to try and establish whether it was a developer or what that bought it.
I wasn't aware.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Councillor Butcher. Sorry, Mike, was that everything for you? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay,
Michelle.
thank you. Councillor Butcher.
Okay, thank you. It's on the same point, actually, 17.4, but not having been on the council at the time of the decision that was made to dispose of 82 Wick Street, I'd just like to put on record that I think that it's one of the biggest mistakes, really, that the council has made to simply proceed to sell that establishment off. I think that the local community will rue the loss of it, particularly in the forthcoming months. And in fact, we should have been looking at ways of either making use of it or replacing it, because I think that it's something that the local community will see, that the town council's pulling out of Wick Street, a provision which could have been made or could have been returned to the local community, and I think it's a great shame. So I'm really just putting that on the record. And yeah, I think that not only will the local community rue that, I think the town council, it lessens the town council. Thank you.
So in response, Madam Mayor, I mean, my only comment would be that it was a youth facility, and a new youth facility is being built in Wick. So in that sense, there is no loss of youth facility.
I was looking forward into the future and the wider community and what could have been done.
Thank you, Councillor Butcher. Is there anything else? Doesn't look like there's anyone else. Thank you, Councillor Price.
Thank you.
Agenda item 8.2.8, the Policy and Finance Advisory Group. Can I please hand over to Councillor Dr. Walsh as Chair of the Advisory Group to present these minutes?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have much pleasure in presenting the minutes of the Policy and Finance Advisory Group held on the 20th of December and reported at pages 61 to 70. and I will be happy to answer any questions.
Have Councillor Turner?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got a couple of questions. One is related to 26.5 on page 66 about the training. Is that going to happen as far as social media training and communications company to deliver training for officers and councillors? Is that going to happen, and if so, when?
The answer is yes, it will happen, but I will ask either the town clerk or Juliet to report on whether we've engaged the company yet.
Sorry. Through you, Madam Mayor, no, we haven't engaged. It will happen, and no, we haven't engaged them yet.
Okay, thank you. And my other question is on page 68, 27.32, and whether anybody has got any comments about how they feel the community warden system is going. Is there any data on that, or any information on how well it's going? I would welcome any information on that. Thank you.
I've spoken to them, and it does seem to be going well. The public seem to still welcome their presence. I've always felt that having an increased police presence is even more important, and I've continued to say so, and will continue to take that view to the District Police Commander and the Police and Crime Commissioner. But the two are complementary and seems to be working reasonably well. I don't know whether Peter wishes, the town clerk wishes to add to that.
Thank you, and through you again, Madam Mayor. What I will do is, and I don't think I've done it, so on the basis that no one sort of commented on it, I'm going to go on the basis that I haven't done it. I will circulate tomorrow a paper that's gone to the District Council's committee, one of the District Council committees, which is a summary of the first 9 months, which is perhaps gives you a bit more of an insight than the monthly paper. So I'll circulate that to members tomorrow.
Thank you, Peter. That's very helpful.
Yes, thank you. That would help me enormously as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if I can, on the community wardens, I think we all knew my view on the community warden role on paper before we enrolled the role, if you like. Now that I've seen them in action, if you take away the role on paper, the people that are actually in post, I think are well worth the time and money that's been spent on the project. And watching them interact with our community on a daily basis, I can see the positive input that they're having. That, in my opinion, they've changed my mind and they're very good.
Michelle, that's really quite, Madam Mayor, that's really good to hear, and thank you very much for that. Madam Mayor, that's really good to hear, and thank you very much for those comments.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. I've got Councillor Long.
Thank you very much. I am fully supportive of the community wardens. I think they are doing a really good job. All I would say is that on Facebook, I think it was today, I have seen some very disparaging remarks about their performance and whether people have seen them and this sort of thing. So if we can publicise how well we think it's going and actually make people realise what they're there to do and how well they're doing it, would really be very helpful. It's all very well us knowing how well they're doing and the District Council knowing how they're doing. The important thing is for the public perception to be improved, if I can say that. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, James.
Thank you, Councillor. Sorry, I have to wait for the mic to come on, don't I? Thank you, Councillor Long, for that. I think it might be important to try and get a précis of the report into next progress. Would be a good way of getting that to everybody in the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
So through you, Madam Mayor, that's being done.
Good. not being on the editorial board anymore, I'm pleased to hear that.
Thank you. I have Councillor Turner again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Yes, I would reiterate what Councillor Long just said about seeing stuff on Facebook this morning, and that which is one of the reasons why I put this question for tonight to be answered. But also, if the Town Council Facebook page could have the summary included in their Facebook page, that would be also very useful. So it would tie in with the fact that the disparaging comments came on Facebook this morning. But I was also aware, with having spoken to the community wardens, that they were working well. But I think the townspeople seem to want a bit more police activity as well. So whether that can be done or not, I don't know. But thank you very much. Thank you.
Sorry, through you again, Madam Mayor. I'll be looking to have Chief Inspector John Carter come to the next council meeting, which will give you a good opportunity to discuss policing in the town, because whilst the two are allied, they're not. The community wardens are not there as substitute police officers, and certainly that will be an opportunity for all councillors to pick up with him issues about policing.
Thank Mayor,
you.
come back again, Madam Mayor.
Of course.
Am I live? Yes. No, I'm not yet. Yeah, I am. Thank you for those comments. Yes, as I said at the beginning, I too believe there should be increased police presence. The roles are different but complementary. I've continued to bear that in, as I happen to be from the County Council on the Police and Crime Commissioners panel, and can ask those questions there, and will continue to do so. And secondly, I would ask all members of the public and councillors to respond to the survey on policing that the Police and Crime Commissioner is conducting. I think it's still open. Please do so if you haven't done so. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a question from Councillor Price.
Thank you. It was just to say that on social media, I have seen a lot of drop-ins for the community wardens. They've been at Morrison's. I think they're in the library as well. Yeah. And it's just getting that out to the public. So people that aren't on social media, maybe we can put those dates in progress as well, because people want to ask them what they're doing, but might not have known that they're doing these drop-in sessions. But there has been quite a lot of the drop-in sessions with the community wardens. So, and maybe if, you know, when the weather's better, they could set up and do one in the town centre as well as like Morrison's and the library, because I think that would work well for the public to be able to go up to them and then ask them those questions, opposed to putting it on Facebook what they do and don't think that they do. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Again, I think that's a very helpful comment, and in addition to there, perhaps could go on the town council notice boards when the drop-in sessions are, and extending them would make a good sense as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. I believe that's the end of the questions.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next item on our agenda, we have the officers' report. So I'd like to ask the town clerk to take us through these reports, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The first one is the calendar of meetings. I always say every year I bring this forward with a note of trepidation, which says that inevitably we approve it tonight and tomorrow someone sends me an email saying something clashes. So hopefully members have had a chance to look at it. What we have a different problem for the next 12-15 months covered by this, which is that the District Council and ourselves used to try very hard to avoid each other in terms of meetings, with us meeting on Mondays and Thursdays and the district meeting on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Not all the time, but that was the general rule. Because of the new arrangements at the District Council, they're now meeting Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, which means it's virtually impossible for us to steer clear of them. It does mean that their biggest meetings at council, I still believe, are on Wednesdays, which we don't clash with. Is it Wednesdays? Sorry, I'm doubting myself then. It is Wednesdays, isn't it? I'm sure it is. But there will be moments when these clash with members, and we need to work our way around that. The district council haven't finalised their calendar of meetings yet. I really just flag that up because it's inevitable something's going to clash during the year. But other than that, it's recommended from Policy and Finance.
Thank you. I don't think there's any questions or anything on that.
So once that's approved, they can only be moved by the ways that are covered by standing orders.
Okay, thank you. So do you want me to approve that now? Is that right? Yes, sorry. Are we all happy to approve that?
Agreed.
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 Yes,
Agreed.
Agreed.
Yep.
Thank you. I think we agreed. Sorry, I got confused because I know we have a meeting tomorrow morning as well, so I'm a bit all over the place. Back to you, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, the next report has been to all the committees and is the Town Council's aims and objectives. What my colleagues have done is I hope helpfully, is pluck out the changes in the covering report, and which are basically for policy and finance, planning, and for community resources. And those changes are set out in there with a recommendation to approve.
Any questions on those? Is everyone happy to approve those?
Agreed.
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 Yep.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. And on to the next one, the virtual meeting attendance.
Yeah, this kind of is ironic given the news from yesterday, but who knows where we'll be in the future. The law at the moment is not helpful in terms of what is a meeting and what counts as a meeting in terms of members' attendance. Therefore, perhaps a bit belatedly, but still importantly, because we don't know what will be happening in the future, this paper proposes that we accept the attendance at virtual meetings as attendance. It's a recommendation to council tomorrow morning because it needs formally to be signed off by then. It gives the duration is through till 3 months after the new council. Obviously, if we're meeting non-remotely or in person, it doesn't come into play at all, but we don't know what's around the corner. So I think it's still prudent to have it. We don't want anyone falling out of the council by accident because we're having remote meetings. If members are happy, that's a fairly simple recommendation, but I'm happy to answer any questions on it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Or are we all happy to agree with that one?
Agreed.
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 Thank you. Moving on to the next item on our agenda is finance. I'll ask the town clerk to take us through these reports, please.
I'll do the first one. Sorry, I've lost my own track now. Sorry, the first one being the capital programme, which I will do. The capital programme is set out in the paper. There is nothing in there that members don't know about, but it is important that it is set out. Perhaps in a way, the most important thing about the capital programme, it actually relates to the revenue budget, which is about making sure that our revenue budget is ready to run with the two major capital projects that are looming, namely the Keystone Youth Centre and North Atlantic Community Centre. And that provision has been built into the revenue budget so that it doesn't come as a major shock to us when it arrives, and gives us a little bit of latitude to tinker with things when we get the new build. So apart from that, there is provision to deliver, still within a very tight budget, the priorities of the council. So I'm happy to answer any questions, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We have a question from Councillor Tandy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's not so much a question, more an observation regarding 3.4, the converted capital receipts aspect. And I know some others have raised this before. I can't remember who, so I apologise for not recognising who they were. I am increasingly worried about how we are beginning to earmark converted capital receipts 3 or 4 years down the line. It doesn't sit well with me that these are capital receipts. I accept they've been converted, but every time we take something out of converted capital receipts to spend on revenue, and the example given is the community wardens, and that's not a point about the community wardens. It just worries me that every time we do that, we are restricting what we will be able to do in terms of capital projects as we go forward. I'm not asking for anything to change. I just want to flag that, you know, we can't keep dipping into capital receipts 3 or 4 years ahead, because eventually we will run out of money. Not trying to be hyperbole, but if we keep just taking and taking and taking, one day we'll want to do something and there won't be enough there to actually do it. So it is just a marker in the sand. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Tandy. I agree wholeheartedly. Absolutely wholeheartedly. The logic of using it really falls into the other bit of the budget discussion, but happy to answer it here. The only bit being is there is a peak in the budget, which is I would not be sitting here. In fact, in no circumstance would I recommend it to you as a long-term funding proposal for the council. It is to take you through a peak, but I think that marker is well made and should be logged through you, Madam Mayor, and needs to be borne in mind when we go through future budget cycles.
Thank you. Is everyone happy with that?
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, thank you.
Agreed. Yes, agreed.
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 Now we have the full council budget report 2022 to 2023 and projected budgets 2023 to 2025. I'll hand over to Dr. Walsh as Chair of Policy and Finance to introduce these proposals.
Thanks very much, Madam Mayor, and thank you very much for the discussion on the capital programme beforehand. And can I say that I totally concur with the remarks of both Councillor Tandy and the Town Clerk. This is a very temporary thing to see us through a peak. It is not a projected policy, and I totally support the remarks about not embarking on any policy of using capital receipts to bolster revenue funding. This really has been a very difficult budget setting process, probably the most challenging of the last 20 years, and possibly even longer. It's certainly been very, very tight this year. Several factors outside of our control have combined to drive our costs higher, and some of these will be well known to you. These include energy costs, the increase in which, for instance, has led our contractor going into administration and therefore us having to take on a much more expensive supplier. The new National Insurance / Social Care Levy of 1.5% introduced by the Chancellor in the November budget. An unexpected but not yet finalised pay award for 2021-22, which I think is being talked about 1.75% at the moment. Then we've got the by-election costs, and of course the well-documented increases in inflation, which we probably have not yet seen the peak of. We had another announcement yesterday, but it's forecast to continue going up before it hopefully starts coming down later on this year. Turning to the Town Council priorities, this budget it continues to provide the funds to deliver on the Council's priorities, including, and this alludes back to our previous discussion, building up the revenue budgets for the new buildings that will be coming online in the next 2 years or so, making proper revenue provision for the future, namely the Keystone Youth Facility and the North Littlehampton Community Centre. Provision is also made for the new in-house town centre team, together with the continued funding for town centre events in partnership with the District Council, where they, I'm pleased to say, they approved the budget for that in the committee, Economic Committee last night at Arran District Council, and I better declare my interest as a member of District Council and of that committee in that decision last night, and of the community wardens. The latter two, as I said, are dependent on match funding from Arran District Council, and we've heard that the town centre events one was, as I say, passed last night. All of the other key services have been retained, and that's been not an easy task in this year. That said, there is little room for manoeuvre over the next 2 years. And to achieve this, all the budgets have been rigorously examined to reduce any slack that could be found in them. Earmarked reserves have been used as much as possible to see the council through the difficult next 2 years, and that's reflecting the discussion that we've just had. Lastly, council tax will be increased, but it's a very small and affordable amount in my view. For a Band D taxpayer, the increase of 3.95% equates to £5.09 per annum, or just under 10 pence a week. And of course, that 3.95% is well below the current inflation rate and likely to be even further below the further increases we're likely to see. And although any increase is unwelcome, this rise is below inflation, and important decisions have been taken to keep budget growth under control, certainly in the next 2 years, for which we can forecast. It would have been very much harder to pull this budget together without the hard work of all the council group leaders and the committee chairs and vice chairs prior to the formal committee stages. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you and of them, together with all the committees who've considered their respective elements in depth and recommended them to the Policy and Finance Committee and to the council tonight. We also owe a huge debt of gratitude to our new responsible finance officer, John Short, for whom this has been a real baptism of fire. This must have seemed and is a mammoth task on his arrival, but who's provided all the paperwork and the options for us. Thank you, John, and your team for that. I would therefore like to put to the council the 8 recommendations set out on pages 106 and 107 of your papers for the recommendation formally to the formal council meeting tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? No, none. Is everybody happy to accept those recommendations? Are we okay to do that on block?
I think we have to take a name vote on the budget, don't we, Peter, or is that only at district?
Through you, Madam Mayor, that's at the District Council.
Okay.
The Principal Authority, sorry.
Well, I'm voting yes in that case.
Thank you.
Agreed.
I would agree.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, colleagues, and thank you again, not just to John, but to Peter and to Juliet and all our staff who've all had inputs into the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. On to the next item. We've got the External Auditor Certificate and Report 2020 to 2021. I'll hand over to the Town Clerk for that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a very short report. This will be going to Governance and Audit in February, who will be meeting in a real head-to-head fashion. There is, as it says, a qualification on there which we're challenging. However, this is not about the ruination of the council's financial terms. It's about whether a notice was published at the right time or not. But I'm happy to answer any other questions, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? No, none. Is everyone happy to accept that?
Agreed.
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 Thank you.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Lovely, thank you. We've got reports and representatives on outside bodies. I invite our members to report on any business relating to their outside bodies as the elected representative of the Town Council. It's been quiet, it's been Christmas. We'll move on to exempt business. Can I ask the Town Clerk to advise if there is any exempt business?
There is none, Madam Mayor.
Lovely. This meeting is now finished at 19:20 p.m. I would like to thank all the staff for their support throughout the meeting and to members and the public for their patience.